Caddo Parish District Attorney Mr. James Stewart is here. Hey, Mr. James, how are you this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
I guess question number one would be, as the criminal justice, as the sentencing reform bills make their way through the legislature, if most of these come to actually become law, the question I guess everybody has is, will these changes keep us safe, or more directly, will any of these changes make us less safe?
I'll answer the second. No, it will not make us less safe. At the beginning of the conversations, they took out anything dealing with violent offenders, so it doesn't really deal with violent offenders. There'll be no wholesale release of people from prison.
It looks like in the governor's message he sent out yesterday, the bills will reduce the state's prison population by 10% and save $260+ million. With $180 million of that, which is, I'm sure what you're watching close, will be reinvested into programs, I'm quoting now, and policies that work to reduce crime and victimization. How much do you know about that? And I'm sure you want your piece of the pie.
Well, a lot of it's going to go back into the Department of Corrections and Probation and Parole to allow them to put some programs in to help nonviolent offenders transition back in, to help them get out quicker. We're supportive of that, because the biggest problem at first was they wanted to let people out but not do anything to help them deal with mental health and the other issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. So that's the good thing about it.
Judge Stewart, the prison population being reduced by 10%. Who's being let out? What's your understanding?
They're dealing with nonviolent offenders, people who have not committed crimes against people, and it's simply people being processed out a little earlier and not staying in as long, as opposed to them just opening the door and people walking out. That's not going to happen.
What's the biggest objection right now you have to some of the bills that are passing? Are some of them, or do you have concerns about some of them?
I have concern about the juvenile life bill. That's still in flow as to the discretion DAs will have in terms of determining juveniles who commit murders and rapes, how quickly they can get out. And then the second concern just deals with how they implement it and how long it takes up to implement these new policies.
Will we have more community programs here in Shreveport, Caddo, Bossier?
And who pays for those?
And will the state be helping to pay?
These programs primarily will be done within the Louisiana Department of Corrections, so I don't think you're going to see any wholesale changes on the outside. It doesn't really help us along those lines, but it does help the Louisiana Department of Corrections, and that is a good thing. It's not a bad.
Another bill, Judge, would eliminate the restriction for those who have drug convictions from getting food stamps and getting other help. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Not a problem?
No. The DAs were fine with that. That's not an issue.
Let me ask you about the death penalty, because there was a bill talking about getting rid of the death penalty in Louisiana. Is that ended for this session? You don't expect that to come back up?
No, I do think that bill will end up in the House being debated, and there'll be some conversations, but ultimately I don't believe that they have the numbers to vote it out in the House.
A couple of states across the country, California among them, have instituted sentencing reform legislation similar to what we're talking about right now. In California, there are officials who will say that their crime rate from the people who would otherwise be in jail, that the recidivism rate is above 80%. Do you have any concerns about that? I know that you have to have thought about it a little bit.
We have, and that's why when we were involved in the process, we wanted to make sure that we were dealing with people that you think you really can help and help turn it around. I mean, you could look at California, and then you could look at other states where it was more effective. So what we want to do is smartly. We slowed down the train. We're going to take it one step at a time, 1 year at a time, and then make the adjustments as you go along.
Hugo Holland joined us in studio a few weeks ago, and we were focusing on the death penalty a little bit, and he talked about a large chunk of our money for indigent defenders is used in those death penalty cases. Aside from doing away with the death penalty, how do we solve that problem?
Well, I think they resolved it in the legislature. They made a mandatory amount of money that has to go to the local public defender's office and reduce the amount of money that goes to the people who handle death penalty cases. And then across the state, there are fewer prosecutors seeking the death penalty for a number of reasons. So you don't have as many people being tried for death penalty. And one of the reasons is because right now, the death penalty is kind of a moratorium. They don't have the drugs to kill anybody. So there are 70-something people on death row right now, and we're kind of at a stalemate.
Do you personally support it?
The death penalty?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sworn to support all the laws of the Constitution of the state of Louisiana, so I'm supportive of it. And I think you have to use it effectively and in the right cases. One of the problems is 80% of the cases who get tried get sent back because you make an error and you choose the wrong cases to go for the death penalty. But there are some cases, like we have one now, that we're going to seek the death penalty.
Judge, at the end of the day, are you, as the Caddo DA, these changes become law, the sentencing changes, are you, as Caddo DA, are you optimistic? Do you think this is a good idea, or do you have a wait-and-see attitude?
I'm optimistic because what happened is that you brought everybody to the table and everybody looked at the situation and everybody agreed that we could take these steps. And I think when you get everybody to the table working together, I'm optimistic it's going to work. If one group had made a decision that the other group didn't like, it wouldn't work.